All right, so let me get this straight. So both Muhammad and Joseph Smith claimed to be prophets, but each of them got manipulated by demons? Yeah, it's not exactly what you want on like a prophet's resume, is it? And if that sounds bizarre, like just wait, because this is only one of 15 creepy parallels between Islam and Mormonism that we expose in our full video, which is linked in the description. And trust me, you definitely want to see the rest. So let's talk about how Muhammad and Joseph Smith had some pretty concerning run-ins with demonic forces that left a pretty serious mark on their ministries. Starting with Muhammad, according to Ibn Ishaq's Sirat Rasul Allah, Muhammad was so convinced that he had been possessed by a jinn during one of his first revelations that he actually considered throwing himself off of a mountain. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement of a future prophet, but it doesn't stop there. There's also the infamous Satanic Verses incident where Muhammad somehow ended up reciting verses praising pagan gods. And when people started to ask questions, Muhammad pulled out the old "Satan made me do it" card, claiming that Satan had tricked him into speaking those words. According to Shahab Ahmed in his book Before Orthodoxy, quote, "The early Muslim community believed almost universally that the Satanic Verses incident was a true historical fact. As far as the overwhelming majority of the Muslim community in the first 200 years was concerned, the Messenger of God did indeed on at least one occasion mistake words of satanic suggestion as being of divine inspiration. For the early Muslims, the Satanic Verses incident was something entirely thinkable." End quote. In other words, Muhammad literally confused Satan's voice with God's voice, and the early Muslims didn't really seem to be too bothered by that. Imagine your prophet mixing up God and Satan. Like, no big deal, right? All right, let's move on now to Joseph Smith, who also couldn't seem to avoid dark forces in his life. Before his first vision, Smith claimed that he was overcome by a dark power, leaving him completely paralyzed and surrounded by thick darkness. This first-hand account can actually be found in the official Mormon scriptures, namely in the Pearl of Great Price. And this was not a one-off occurrence. Smith reported several encounters with demonic forces conveniently happening right before his biggest revelations. Now, let's contrast this with Jesus Christ. When Satan came to tempt Jesus during his 40-day fast in Matthew 4, 1-11, Jesus didn't fall for any of his tricks. He didn't mistake Satan's voice for God's voice or become paralyzed. In fact, he stood firm and sent Satan packing without breaking a sweat. Jesus wasn't just good at resisting demonic influence, he literally dominated it. Jesus was extremely well known as an exorcist, regularly casting out demons with authority. Wherever he went, the demonically possessed trembled and unclean spirits obeyed his commands. Whether he was healing the afflicted or casting out evil spirits, Jesus demonstrated total control over the spiritual realm. So while Muhammad and Smith were out there getting confused and paralyzed by dark forces, Jesus was showing unmatched power and authority over them. In short, Jesus is pretty based. There's not really a comparison. Okay, so if you thought that was wild, we're only scratching the surface. In the full video, we dive into 15 eerie parallels between Islam and Mormonism, everything from demonic manipulation to polygamy and even divine loopholes for marrying close relatives. The full video is linked in the description, or you can just click on it right here. Trust me, you're gonna wanna watch every single second.